I'm sorry I abandoned you, Mr. Cool Guy. I cheated on you for that inkling. I like your cool beanie. Where'd you get it? You don't have money, you don't have a job. Howdy fellas, Jezzy here, and boy oh boy does time fly, because after this video there's only one Brockhampton video left to do. You know, that new album Iridescence that came out last month that I totally didn't review yet because it wasn't Brocktober yet. Mr. Cool Guy, you wouldn't happen to be a time traveler, would you? That's a silly idea, but please, don't upload my videos into the past. Alright, here we are with the entire reason I decided to do Brocktober. Here we are with the climax, the third album in the Saturation trilogy, Saturation 3, released in December 2017. I vividly remember getting into this album. It was early winter break, the semester just ended, I was up in the mountains, it was freezing. It was at that point at the end of the year where I could finally just take a breather, and then this album came out. I was super hyped after the first two Saturation albums, and nobody would shut up about Boogie. I've got this thing where I don't listen to singles before albums I anticipate come out. I want to experience it all in one go, so it was driving me mad hearing all this praise for Boogie for like a week. And immediately upon listening to it, I had this strong feeling that I was listening to history in the making. Like this thing that was just released to the world, that I'm listening to right now, is going to be something that countless generations are going to listen to. That this is bound to be a future classic. So obviously this is my favorite album of the trilogy, and it's my favorite album of 2017 at this point. Sorry World Eater, I love both albums, but Saturation 3 has just continued to grow on me, to the point where it overtook the perfectly calculated, throbby, noisy mess that was World Eater. Still an amazing album, I need to make a video on that someday. Saturation 3 is an album that flows very smoothly, and it's super cohesive. Take the consistency of Saturation 2, amp up the fun, and make it so much more of a cohesive project. It's perfect! The placement of every track just feels perfect, and they really enhance each other the way they keep handing off their momentum. Even the skits feel like they belong and they help the album progress. And they perfectly introduce the songs Stupid and Sister. Once again, a majority of the tracks on this album are immensely catchy, memorable, and single-worthy, and so many of these tracks are great for different reasons. There's enough diversity in the track listing that makes the album really pop, it's really colorful, really deserves the name Saturation. It's got the best production of the trilogy. Sound-wise, it balances being weird and creative with being pleasing to the ear and catchy. So really, everyone wins. If you're a fan of hip-hop, if you're a fan of pop, if you really like hearing creative stuff, there's universal appeal. There's just such a passionate energy behind a lot of the songs. Listening along, I really just feel, heck yeah! Frick yeah! Heck! Mom said no bad words, you fucking bitch! Help, there's a spooky Halloween spider on me. This album is so strong track by track that I may as well just start talking about that. Really, the best way to dive into the specifics of what makes this album so good is what makes every song so good. Just like with the past Saturation albums, the first three tracks make an incredible three-hit combo. I really don't think I need to say anything about Boogie. There's really no explanation needed why the song is so good. It is the jam of all jams. It is one of the catchiest songs of the decade. Every single little verse feels like its own hook, and because of that it's like a song with 10 different hooks, all of which are so great that I can't even rank them. It's got their most genius instrumental by far. The bass and the siren and the saxophone, everything works so well with each other. He's just trying to get into bloopers. Boogie is my favorite Brockhampton song by far. Oh, it's also the return of Psycho Joba. That's another positive. Zipper perfectly continues on with the momentum that Boogie started. Zipper's another one of my favorite Brockhampton songs for a lot of similar reasons. Immensely catchy song, fun, high energy. All members are just in it. Then you get Johnny, which again carries over this momentum. Though things start to get more serious here, especially with Joba's verse. By the end of the song, Joba's revealing a lot of the vulnerability he feels in his life. It is at this general point that the energy starts to go down a little bit. The song leads into Liquid, one of the shorter tracks. Up to this point it is the most chilled out song, kinda taking it down a notch now. For what it is, Liquid is nice. It's not around that long, but it seems fully fleshed out, even though it's only just over a minute. The only holdup I have is that it's got the only weaker line on the album. I've never really been a fan of Kevin's Imaginary Friends line, just seems kinda corny. Stupid has that same great general kind of poppy sound I was talking about with Fake. I love Stupid and Fake for a lot of similar reasons. The way Merlin starts the song off is very memorable, the chorus is very memorable. I just love that piano loop, I love it. Bleach is one of their more R&B centric songs, and of their more R&B centric songs, I'd say it's their best. I think they executed the sound they were going for on Bleach perfectly, and it deserves to be one of their most popular songs. Alaska's an underrated track. It's got some subtle changes throughout its length. More G-Funk influence returns. The midsection with Joba is great. Walk through doors! I'm not even gonna try. I honestly feel like the way they subtly changed the instrumental of this track throughout its length strength is to perfectly transition into Hottie. Because the transition from Alaska to Hottie is so seamless, it's so good. Hottie's another one of their poppiest songs. The instrumental is so bouncy and fun in its simplicity. It just serves as a great middle point for the entire album. Oh man, and then you get Sister, one of their most cinematic cuts. Sister Nation is a song that goes through a lot of different progressions. It starts very simply with only the main part of the instrumental and Merlin, and it's already in your face. Merlin's shouting, the instrumental is very punchy, and the song just progresses and becomes louder and more intense. The chorus is ecstasy, Kevin's lines go perfectly with the rhythmic change-up in the instrumental, and then there's Matt. Matt's best verse on the entire trilogy is on this song in my opinion. And that's only the first half of the song! The second half, Nation takes the song in a very different direction. It's very dreamy and drenched in reverb, and it's the perfect come down after the intensity of Sister. And after all that, Rental comes in, and it's another one of their more poppy songs. Aside from a few verses from Matt and Dom, there's a lot of melodic focus on this song. This song is yet another highlight for Matt, because as it turns out, he's pretty dang good at singing too. That ain't just a placeholder for Kevin and Bareface and Joba. Stains is pretty good as a penultimate track. For me, Stains feels somewhat lacking compared to a lot of the other songs in this album, but that's only because a lot of the other songs are top tier. And then you've got the final track, Team, which is actually kind of two shorter tracks, Ebony and Team. Ebony being the final Bareface closer of the trilogy, and my favorite Bareface closer of the trilogy. Ebony closes the album and the entire trilogy with this defeated ballad that ties in with the other two Bareface closers. As others have pointed out, all three closers have thematic similarities. Waste is from the perspective of a guy who's been cheated on, Summer's from the perspective of someone falling in love with a boy in the heat of the summer, and Ebony is from the perspective of this guy who this girl Ebony is cheating with. So context clues. Summer is from the perspective of Ebony, and Waste is from the perspective of the guy who Ebony was originally dating. If I were to go into these songs blind with this premise, I wouldn't expect the song from the guy Ebony is cheating with to be the most emotionally crushing. And yet it is! Just listen to it. The ending, the climax of it is heartbreaking. But then after that, Team actually comes in, and it's got a very after hours end credits kind of feel, which again really reinforces how cinematic the pacing of this album can feel. I mean shoot, they named the skit Cinema, and the entire album ends by fading back into the sound that the first saturation starts with. If it wasn't for the immense musical success of this album, I wouldn't hold the trilogy in the same way as I do now. There's just so much greatness emanating from this album that I'm honestly scared they'll never be able to top this. Especially after the loss of Amir. So what does happen next? What's after the Saturation trilogy? Well, apparently the group has another trilogy planned, and they recently kicked it off with Iridescence. Tune in next time for Iridescence, where I totally won't misinterpret an MIA feature thanks to pitch shift and confusion. Wait, oh god, oh fuck, remember me?!